The two trainers.
I think we have to watch that matchup first, obviously, right?
Yeah.
The trainer v trainer battle. Oh man, this is so good. All right, so we are in the semifinals right now, folks. So for all the viewers, thanks for sticking with us through the group play. We are in the top 4 right now. All 4 of these players have won some cash prizes, right? You get Amazon gift cards for placing in the top 4, 200 for first place, 100 for second place. Only one can advance.
Yep.
So game 1 of the semifinals, Trainer Nick versus Trainer Chris. What do you see here?
Trainer Nick is running 2 very interesting decks, and also interesting to me, going back to kind of the mentality of these players, he does not open with his Sparky deck. He opens with his Lightning deck.
Yeah.
And I wonder if that's just to feel out his opponent. I can totally see some players maybe who think a little bit harder about the format saying, hey, this deck is really great at kind of like deciding. It has a lot of... It plays in such a way that I get to see how my opponent plays a lot in different situations, and maybe I don't know if that's going to be true.
I think
for
it's also
Nick's case,
worth mentioning that this deck seems a little bit more well-rounded, right? It's not picking at opponent's weaknesses. It's just a well-rounded deck. Yeah. So given that he doesn't know what Trainer Chris is playing, and no matter what he's playing, like you got to win with this deck. Having a opening with a well-rounded deck allows him to be diverse towards what he's going to see from his opponent.
And I suppose it actually makes a lot more sense, because in the case you don't really know what your opponent plays like and what cards they play, that's going to hurt a Sparky deck much more than it is another deck, right?
For sure.
Because with a Sparky deck, it's kind of like the information war, right? You want to be as well informed as possible once you play your Sparky deck to know you can guarantee some kind of result from when you place your cards.
Absolutely. All right, Trainer Nick versus Trainer Chris, game 1.
All right.
This was it right now. I just want to make sure we're getting the right one.
Yep.
Yes, it is.
All right, we're back. Builder's Workshop, again, the first map that we saw today, and now the map we're seeing in the semifinals.
This is actually my favorite arena, for sure.
Got him! See ya, Elixir Collector. Is it even going to get 1 pump? I think it does. It gets 1 pump, right? Yep. It got 1.
I'm going to get the bracket on screen, too, so we can watch that. Have that available.
All right. So that was actually really interesting to me. Just then, Trainer Chris played the mini P.E.K.K.A. in the back, and I wonder why he didn't just play in the front, because he didn't assist the mini P.E.K.K.A. with anything. He wasn't saving elixir. He could have saved himself just a little bit of tower health.
Yeah, maybe. I think really tight tournament players highly value tournament or tower health over elixir. Like I know on the ladder, or maybe in like a tournament format, I tend to be willing to take damage in order to get ahead in elixir. I tend to win a lot of like 2-1 games and things like that because I'm willing to trade a tower for elixir. But I think in this level we see how many games end 1-0, and you just like every 200, 300 points really matters.
And like we were saying, you know, the big thing about playing against Lightning and Rocket is that you need to be very, very careful about your tower health very early on in the match.
Right.
Miner's doing a lot of damage. Mini P.E.K.K.A. makes it over.
Get that little thing on stage.
Alright, let's go ahead and can right click it.
Yeah, I got it. Cool. All over it. Boom, there we go. All right, cool. So we can see Clyde versus Gray will be the other match. Trainer Nick versus Trainer Chris is going on right now. Game 1, we're all caught up.
All right.
Trainer Chris, I think, has done a pretty good job of defending his collector, but what's kind of unfortunate is that for Trainer Nick is that he split his damage up across these 2 towers pretty significantly.
Yeah, and that's due to him kind of. Wow. It was 1 miner play and 1 lightning on the left side tower actually. Yeah. And so Trainer Nick, you can just see the power of this deck right now.
Oh wow! Those guards in the middle like would normally be good, but that princess just.
Oh no!
Boom.
Double mini P.E.K.K.A. The second one is always the one that matters.
Always the one, yeah. It's never the first golem. That's a hit. That's not it. It is not it. It is a hit.
Oh my god! And that just caught up Trainer Nick. That one swing.
Oh wow! And the princess even got 1 more shot off before dying.
Yep.
Oh, and their princess dies.
No. Okay. Well, technically, there's 300 health left for Trainer Nick.
Wow! Trainer Chris was able to pull it out there. 7 seconds left. I don't know if we can do 800 damage in the next 7 seconds.
You know, it's interesting. I almost wonder if it would have been worth it for Trainer Nick. I don't know if it would have won him the match, but if he had just opted to use lightning to hit the mini P.E.K.K.A. to allow the guards to move forward,
Sure.
do damage to the tower, and then maybe the guards could finish it off. Seems unlikely, but it's the little things, right?
Where's the bracketing?
It's in there somewhere.
All these. Oh, there it is. We can just delete all these other ones.
Nice. Here we go.
Cool. So we got that caught up, and let's move on to the next match, Game 2 of Trainer Nick versus Trainer Chris. Believe this was okay. So this is Game 1 right here.
All right. Yeah.
Right. Yes. Okay. This is the one we just watched.
Yeah.
So we're gonna move to this one. And of course, this is the deck that you want to see, right? If Trainer Nick's going to go home with this game, with this tournament and this match, he has to win with the Sparky Log deck.
Sparky Log. And the crazy thing is, the fact that he's here means that he did.
Hey, you're right. Like, actually, this Sparky Log deck hasn't lost yet because if he's made it this far, it had to have win at least one game in every match. You're right.
He has to have won with it.
You know, I'm noticing Trainer Chris. You know what, though? I kind of want to favor Trainer Chris on this one because he's got both the Zap and Poison and Princess, all of which, and of course guards, all of which are really good against Sparky. Like, this deck might try to punish your zapping, but there's a lot of options besides Zap in order to fight an incoming Sparky.
The big thing, and I think the big thing about how Trainer Nick needs to play out this situation is he just needs to be very, very intentional about using his Goblin Barrels. Okay. His focus should almost be on the Goblin Barrels rather than the Sparky, because the Sparky is eventually destined for failure just for the fact that eventually it's going to have to meet the guards, right?
Yeah. That's a good point. And he's got Fire Spirits as well for the guards and barbs. Yeah. I think it'll also come down to just, like, does he... Like, I'd also like to see how well the log works against Princess.
Yeah.
Like, that could be another really common thing. So we'll waste no time in putting big old Sparky down here at the bottom. We know... Or other one, I'm sorry, at the top.
Yep.
And we'll
Princess
put
at the bottom, maybe.
I actually think Princess might be, because this is going to be really relevant. There's a lot of times, like, not right there, the Princess came out a little too early. But you'll see times where people play Sparky behind the tower.
There it is.
Yep, like that. And Princess can actually come down now and start shooting.
Splashing.
Splash the tower and the Sparky several times. Sparky has so little hit points. But if you look at it, Princess shooting only twice is a third of, or 25% of its health, right?
Yep.
Uh-oh.
Shine in front. The guards will tank.
The shield.
Okay, the Zap is still on board.
The Zap just went down? No, Zap, no, sorry.
Okay, Zap was spent on the barrel rather than the Sparky. And this is what we're talking about. You need to, because the Sparky is going to meet the guards eventually, right?
Yes.
So I almost think that was the wrong choice. Here comes a log.
Rolls it right away. Now that's a full health Sparky, and I don't know, can he surround with these barbs? He does surround, good job. Nice. So that's a very good mechanical play, because if that was off by one square, all four of those barbs are dead.
Yeah. I think Trainer Nick is very much incentivized to have Trainer Chris spend the Zap on the Sparky rather than the barrels. The barrels is where you're going to really find a lot of your damage rather than Sparky.
I'm really impressed with that last Sparky play. I mean, that was 6 elixir that I think drew out more than 6 elixir worth of whatever from Chris in just terms of how he had to counterplay around it.
Yeah. Now Trainer Chris has committed an elixir collector, so I think by the time the Sparky makes it across, Trainer Chris will maybe be down about 2 elixir. So... And if Trainer Nick fails his push, he has to deal with an elixir collector on the board.
Yeah, no kidding.
So this is kind of a do or die moment, I feel. Guards again. And again, he uses his barrels early. That's just going to get zapped.
Yeah, and then here comes the log down with it.
And there's going to be Barbarians played to surround.
Yep.
And this is and that was a really good.
That was great. He only got the one. Yeah, you're right. That was incredible. And even with the Fire Spirits, it's like the Musketeer's still around and like a mostly full health. I mean, he spent 5 elixir there on defense, right? The Ice Wizard plus the Fire Spirit. And Ice Wizard's not going to really do much damage on offense, so kind of who cares?
Now there's double elixir collectors, and things are going to get worse for Trainer Nick because Giant Poison is nothing to laugh at.
Correct. Although no damage has really made it all the way over there. Although this push is looking pretty good because you got the guard.
Nice. Zap plus log is a great combination.
That log just rolled. Rolled over a lot of that stuff, killed the Princess and took a shield off the guards.
Sparky is acting kind of like a pseudo Musketeer, almost defense than offense.
That Giant is a good blocker too, because Giant can eat.
Oh, there's no zap.
More than 3.
He has to play the guards in a defensive manner, but look at how much damage that did.
Boink. Oh,
that's exactly what we were talking about. When the zap is down, Goblin Barrels does actually so much damage.
The zap came in right on the Sparky, and that's going to probably kill it before anything else gets going. And I like all the stuff in front. It might all get blown up. We'll see.
And there's a poison to slow down the Sparky charge.
So, yeah, the poison will slow it down from about 5 seconds to like 5.5 seconds or so. It's about a 15 5.75 seconds.
Oh no, this is a really dangerous time.
Wow, they're so close though. I mean, even though these counter pushes are going well, they're both at such low health that any push could take it at any time.
The giant
500
is
health,
gonna be
you could
very
lose
tough.
in a minute, right?
And I almost feel like this is a situation where you should use your goblin barrels aggressively. Or rather,
One hit. Oh, every goblin stab matters.
Oh my god!
Oh my god, 38 health. Oh, the poison takes it down. Trainer Chris with just a giant poison didn't even supplement it, right?
Rob him! Oh my god, I wish I was in the coaching seat for Trainer Nick, because I would have said right from the start of the game, you wait until that zap and then you play your goblin barrel. If his goblins had gotten one more hit at the start of the match, you would have won.
I'm kind of surprised. Wow, I mean, great. That is the kind of matchups that we come to expect from the Super Magical Cup. That was an excellent. Put that on TV.
Oh my god.
All right, so Trainer Chris.
It just goes to show you how important it is to just kind of think about what you're going to do from the start. Every minute, every second of the match matters.
Right.
Right from the start, Trainer Nick needed to analyze what was important. Is it going to be the Sparky? Is it going to be the barrels? You saw Sparky shot 0 times on a tower.
Right.
Every single point of damage was essentially the zap, the log, and the barrel.
So we have game 3 now between Trainer Chris and Trainer Nick. They tied it up. The bracket says 2-0. That was not quite the case.
Was it not? Did they make a mistake? Did they?
Yeah, I believe they made a mistake. They were 1-1. Wait, hold on. What? Oh wait, hold on. I'm sorry. Oh, wait, hold on. This was done wrong because what am I looking at in these matches here? Trainer Chris won the game against the Sparky deck, but Chris won game 1. I'm sorry, we were dumb. The Lightning deck. So both Trainer Nick did lose 2-0. I'm sorry. Admins are right. I was wrong because we're looking at it left right on the thing. Okay, my bad. So Trainer Chris wins 2 over. Trainer Nick advances to Clyde and Gray are the other match. So let's go ahead and watch Clyde and Gray from game 1. My bad. So I got confused trying to look at all these replays.
The list is not very conducive.
It's not real used to reading. All right, Clyde versus Gray, game 1. So here we are with the
Lava Hound Miner.
Ooh, I did like that Lava Hound Miner against the kind of the Miner first that we've seen.
It's interesting that this is another triple legendary.
It's another version of it.
Triple legendary.
Put a lumberjack in instead of that mini P.E.K.K.A. and we've got us a whole
legendary?
party. Yeah.
Yes.
You know, Clyde, pretty impressive that Clyde's got this triple legendary deck going. That he is true free to play.
So another interesting thing to think about is Miner kind of interacts well with the rage mechanic of the lumberjack, but I just don't know if Miner interacts well with rage. Because even if you do not support the lumberjack immediately, the miner is pop-up, right? So you can just have him just be in the rage territory immediately. But cool. That's cool. But what do you get from that, right?
Right. Yeah, that's. I think that's where like Goblin Barrel actually kind of comes in because I could see you doing something like, I have Lumberjack coming in, tanking the tower. I throw a Goblin Barrel. The Lumberjack dies near the tower, dropping rage, and then the Goblins get to the benefit of the rage, right?
And you see how strong one stab from the Goblins are. If that earns them a second stab, worth.
Yeah, especially for only 2 elixir, right?
Yeah.
Uh-oh, that elixir collector, besides being poisoned, is now being attacked by the deadly miner. Ice Spirit is actually a pretty good defense against miner.
Yeah.
I like that card a lot. Having to use the miner on defense against mini P.E.K.K.A. seems pretty icky, especially because you still took 2 hits, or 1 hit. Well, actually 2 hits. 1 hit and another hit on your mini P.E.K.K.A. So right now, Clyde seems really far behind from Gray in this first game.
So something interesting to think about is if you play Ice Spirit as defense against miner, I'm not exactly sure if this will happen, but if you place units next to the miner, if it will retarget to the units after the freeze ends. Because then you can start justifying 3 elixir combinations where you play Ice Spirits then Goblins, or Ice Spirits even and Guards, and play 4 elixir, which is the same as playing a mini P.E.K.K.A., but then you don't have that RNG chance of...
That's actually really smart. Yeah, I hadn't really considered it, but you're right. Freeze does cause it to retarget, so if you do that, and you play a unit after, that'll let you get the rest of the thing out there.
It ensures that you do not take 5-6 swings.
And mini P.E.K.K.A. chops the tower down.
Clyde, not like this. But Clyde is playing a Lava Hound deck, and there's one on the field that has made it to the tower. He has the miner in hand. He could play the miner. He needs to play the miner now, and he does. And it
does not retarget, but it might now because it's actually closer. The 2 pups are still attacking. And 2 pups are, they're not as good as minions,
so Clyde
but
has
they're
time
close enough.
Clyde has time enough to play... Oh my god, that's doing way more damage than I thought it would.
Yeah.
Clyde has time enough to play 1 more Lava Hound, and he needs to get it started right now.
He's going to defend this push here pretty effectively. Doesn't take too much damage, and here comes this Lava Hound.
And he needs to be at the bridge.
It's got it. Oh, it is the bridge. Okay, I was going to say, maybe even behind and build up for it, but I think you're right. It's going to take that first shot.
Because 3 elixir is easy to make. All he needs to do is make it to a second miner.
And I like that the Princess Splash was big enough to clean up some of the guards. That Mini P.E.K.K.A is not going to do any damage, really,
Princess
but
is gonna do
this is
well.
enough. I think, yeah, this is, I mean,
You
even
know,
with the Miner stopping it.
The thing is, for Gray, there is actually incentive not to kill that Lava Hound, because once the pups
Right.
pop, that's when the real damage happens. And if you can delay that for long enough, but I don't think. Oh my God! Just sneeze on it. Oh my! This
And
is
there's
minor.
so much. Oh, he's got a Miner. Yeah, there's so much left in his
He needs
hand.
to mind game.
Oh, it does it!
No!
Oh, Gray!
The mind game. He should have played it on the top right corner.
He should have, yeah, like he should have played it
Oh my
inside
God,
where no
that's
one's
the
looking at
poker.
it.
That is the poker of it.
And
Oh,
oh
no! God!
Wow! So Gray wins game 1, but the book is not closed yet on Clyde, because we remember in the Invitational, Clyde lost game 1 of every single match, and then won games 2 and 3. He is someone who watches how you play and will come back and learn from that. So Gray has got game 1, but it is not an easy task to put Clyde away. Now Gray has to switch decks. I'm gonna go quickly into the match preview here. Against, it's got the Giant Poison. Clyde's Giant Poison deck is the other one. And we've got Gray running the Pompeo Triple Legendary as his second deck. Actually, I think this, never count Clyde out, but this actually looks pretty good for Gray, because the Inferno Tower is going to match up well against the Giant. Against the Poison, he doesn't have too many things that are like hyper weak to Poison, right? Like the Ice Wizard and Mini P.E.K.K.A, etc. on defense are going to do pretty well.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah. This is Clyde. Oh my God, Clyde. Great. Really good job by Gray to make the read on the Miner.
And he said game of inches, right? Like that's something you gotta do. And I think Clyde opts to switch decks too. Clyde is not sticking with his Lava Hound deck, even though he could have played it.
Yeah, yeah. And he's gonna go back. He's returning to his seat as the Prince of Poison.
Yeah, let's put Miner up there this time, because I think, like we've said in a lot of these decks, it's really going to come down to how well you can defend the Miner. And there we go. Clyde does another one of those good plays. Between the Elixir Collector in the middle. Oh, no.
Oh.
Wow. The Elixir Collector in the middle and the Mini P.E.K.K.A on
he
defense.
still
Wow,
took the
still
swing.
one hit.
Yeah.
It's not looking very good for Clyde early on. Gray is off to an early start. And that Ice Wizard still chipping away.
Yeah.
But Clyde was able to get a Collector out, and that can always build up these big pushes. Again, it's worth mentioning that aside from the Inferno Tower, this deck cannot defend.
Yeah.
Like, if you can somehow circumvent that Inferno Tower, you're being in pretty good shape. So you see the Barb's in front. That's exactly what it's used for. Oh, and it misses the Princess there. Oh, great separation from
really
Gray.
Great. And he uses the Zap not on the Inferno.
Actually,
but the Barbarians make it.
Yeah, and they do a pretty good amount of damage, but between the Poison and the Princess chopping him up, it unfortunately wasn't as much as he could have been, right?
Really, really complex defense that Gray is demonstrating here.
I mean, look how weirdly that Inferno Tower is placed. That's not a normal placement for it.
Yeah,
but it was great
definitely
separation.
An intentional choice.
Yeah.
That was really, really good.
Will he get another Collector out, or is he going to go for the Tower?
Nice.
Opts for the Collector. Okay, right in the middle. And he can defend it once again. He should be waiting on a Miner. Oh, I like the Psych out there. Although I think those Barbs are probably fine. Oh, actually, no, the Princess.
Mini
The Zap.
Nice.
Oh,
The
okay,
Zap,
the Zap bought some
delayed.
time. But look, the Princess plus the Princess plus the Mini P.E.K.K.A means
got
they're
pushed.
one-hitting.
I didn't even know that was possible. The
I
skeletons
didn't know
got
either. That's
pushed.
sort of weird. Oh, the last Barb, the Highlander, takes out the Princess.
That's not. We shouldn't display this kind of abuse on stream. That was just not. Supercell is
Rude.
rude. That's just insensitive.
I've seen Brave and Meridian. Those are tough princesses. They can fight a little bit.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, the one goblin
Ah!
does that
Oh,
kill.
nice.
God, if a princess survives, that's so brutal. Like when you make like a 3-for-3 trade or a 2-for-3 trade, and you expect the princess to die, and then she doesn't, you are in such bad shape.
Yeah. Oh, the
It's always
second
the second
one.
P.E.K.K.A. It's always the second Mini P.E.K.K.A.
Oh my God! And the princess nearly. Okay, yeah. This Mini P.E.K.K.A is.
Wow,
so...
that Mini P.E.K.K.A has chopped up so many things already, and these double
Gray-
princesses are going to take it down.
Gray tried really hard, but protect the princesses. Oh my
Wow,
God!
it does the Barbs, big guards.
Big guards.
So the question
Triple
now,
princess?
I don't think he can do it. There doesn't seem to be. It seems like
Woody's
Gray comes
record
back
is 4, right? Oh no!
I think 4 is the record.
Yeah,
the Super Magical
4
Cup
is
record. Interlol had it as well.
Yeah, that's right.
But yeah, so we saw a very different Clyde that second game, yet playing his very familiar Giant Poison deck, which now he's not able to play. He's going to have to go back to the Lava Hound deck, take what he's learned, and defeat this triple legendary deck with Inferno Tower using a Lava Hound deck.
Using a Lava Hound. Channel your inner Pompeo.
And I don't think he has minions in the deck.
Yeah, yeah.
Which is normally the thing that you would
biggest.
use.
I think it's minions. Honestly, I think are the biggest thing to defend against Inferno Towers.
So let's see. Yep, we've got the triple legendary versus triple legendary. Both minor, right? Minor in both decks. Minor Princess exists in both decks, as does Zap. Actually, there are minions. Clyde does run minions in the deck.
Oh,
so
okay.
So I think one of the key things, for you watching at home, to look for is, can Clyde play the minions like perpendicular to the Lava Hound, get in front of the Lava Hound, and clog up and kill the Inferno Towers.
Yeah.
If he can do that, and also use things like Zap and Princess to keep the Lava Hound alive, got a good shot. If Gray can defend his Inferno Tower, I don't think Clyde can punch through the damage that he needs to win the game.
Yeah, yeah. And I almost wonder if it would be worth it at some point to use the miner to take on the Inferno Tower. Maybe.
That's a good point, actually. Yeah, even just as a distraction, just put it in front.
Yeah. And it's a good mind game, right?
Right.
If you can't tell if he's going for the Inferno Tower or the tower.
I think Princess could be another huge card here, too, because when you have a big, slow tank coming at you from the opponent's side, that allows the Princess to
gets a
sit on
lot
her
of
side and just
yeah.
shoot 10, 15 times throughout the course.
Very, very hard to actually get damage up.
That is why I really like Ice Spirit against Mini Pack. Look at that. For 1 elixir, it's done, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, skeletons do the same thing, right? But that's also really effective against things like Valkyrie, Barbs, other sorts of attacks that maybe skeletons wouldn't be so good against.
Yeah. Okay, this Princess is going to be able to take down the goblins, and there is a Zap on Gray's side, so he could opt to Zap the Princess, or maybe play an Ice Wizard.
Yeah. It seems to be the
Oh,
go-to.
wow.
That's
Clyde starting early.
Actually, it's good, though, that Ice Wizard was played as early for Clyde, because they're all going to die here to the tower instead of
The question is, how fast is Gray going to cycle? We're not in double elixir right now.
The Inferno Tower, look, he can't play it. He's going to do the same
He
pull
can
again.
wait. Yeah, he can wait for that pull.
You're right, because the Lava Hound doesn't really do a significant amount of damage.
I would say minor on the Inferno Tower in this
Nice.
situation.
But the Lava Hound's pretty close. Now, they're not... Oh, wow. So you were right. We were talking about how the Miner actually does a significant amount of damage.
And now it's
tanking the tower.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow. The Princess, winning the Princess duel. Oh, no. Is it going to... Oh, it dies to the lone Fire Spirit.
But that was good. I mean, Clyde played basically because he played his Lava Hound so quick. He's gotten an extra Lava Hound in this game. Now we're only getting into double elixir, which is typically when you would see the first Lava Hound come out.
Sure.
Clyde has already won up. Okay, he's given he's put the ball in Gray's court. Playing the Elixir Collector means Gray now has to play a push, and Clyde will have to defend before doing his Lava Hound. Unless Gray does a slow push, which he does, and Clyde answers by challenging the slow push with the Lava Hound on his own. About 2 elixir behind.
I think this is the right move by Gray, just to go all in with your elixir when you can here,
Yeah.
because you know that he has at most 3 elixir,
scary.
right?
Oh,
Wow! Did they double zap each other? They were both
Yeah,
afraid
I
trying to
think
get the hit.
I think so. Nice, and this positioning is great.
And there we see the minions. The Fire Spirits do come in though, and I think are able to. I mean, the Fire Spirits blocking was huge right there.
Yeah.
But the pups are kind of yeah. Oh, there's the miner. See how much damage that thing can do. The pups do have a low amount of hit points, but it takes a while.
This is actually a pretty good.
Is that
push
going?
for
Is that
Clyde.
going to swing once?
Oh no!
Oh, the mini pack, it does swing once before getting zapped off the
Man,
board.
This Lava Hound Miner is just such a diverse push.
I
It's
really like
very,
that
very difficult to
combination.
handle.
Yeah.
Just 3 of the pups survived.
Right. Oh wow, those oh man, I don't really like that mini pack on defense. What else can you do, right? You
Yeah.
you only have so many options.
Yeah, I mean, this is kind of. I look at this interaction that just happened there, the cost that Clyde had to pay for his aggression.
And look at that though. I think
Nice.
we might
Okay,
be able
well,
to kill
this
that.
is in cycling zap territory.
Yeah, zap does about 60 damage, 59
Yeah.
damage, something like that.
Yeah.
So 2 zaps will kill him. But of course, 1600 is a lot. You can certainly take 1600 damage.
Yep.
And you can't use it when you got to use your zaps on offense like that. So there's 1 hit. Oh, he doesn't.
Nice. But
Oh,
these princesses eventually are going to put Gray in a bad situation. It's
They're
just,
dueling.
It's such a high pressure environment. Oh!
The Ice Spirit was able to stop those goblins from getting in and killing there. So
This
Clyde
is
wins. That's game 3, right? I mean, just took it
Yeah.
down. The key
Yeah.
game was able to figure out a way to win. And honestly, great defense by Clyde with this deck. Didn't really ever go below, barely went below 1,500 damage on either tower.
I really like this series because it shows just how incredibly complex you have to play to play at this level,
Yeah.
right? For all intents and purposes, I felt like Clyde was always in trouble throughout that whole match. Gray was putting on a lot of pressure and had really good defense set up against Clyde. Clyde had to be very, very creative and very precise in his execution to even have a chance to win.
Yeah, so Clyde, I mean, we talked about it, right? Like, could he get the minions to pull off? And it happened once, but Gray was ready for it, right? Was not caught off guard by that move at all, and was able to defend, yet still was just able to punch that little bits of damage with really precise minor play, and honestly stacking princesses, right? We mentioned about he played the princess, it stayed on his side long enough to cycle back to the next princess, and when he had 2 princesses out, that was what was able to kill some of Gray's and then start laying damage on the tower. Wow. So 2-1, we've mentioned it. Clyde is not out until he's out. Like, we're just not. You cannot put this guy away.
Rumham.
So
Woody, first 2-time winner.
Yes.
Clyde, second.
You're right.
Winner?
Won the Invitational. It's actually Clyde has never actually won a Super Magical Cup, these bracketed events.
Yeah, he was only invited through top 4s.
He's top 4'd and top 8'd, but he's never actually in top 16. But he's never. I don't think he's ever made the finals or won one. So Clyde, wow, after a week of tournament play, has really upped his game up against another, kind of new name stud in the scene, the trainer Chris. So I'm really excited to see how this goes. Let's get game 1 of the finals started right now.
With the Lava Hound.
Got to get there, right? Got to open with Lava Hound.
And again, Inferno Tower is going to be the interaction that he needs to watch out for.
Let's see what else we've got here. So, unfortunately, Trainer Chris does not have a very air-heavy deck, right? Like, Minor, Mini P.E.K.K.A. Like, there's no Musketeer, there's no Archers, Spear Goblins, that kind of thing. And now that I'm mentioning it, Spear Goblins kind of fell out of favor. What happened to that card? We haven't seen any all day.
Really, I mean, they just, even when you get them to work, the fact they get stopped by Zap so often, and then even when you get them to work, they're not as big swinging as Goblins are.
Sure. So, wow, big call out. So let's see if he can do it. He did it once. Last game, see if he can do it again. Trainer Chris, though, no chump, right? No pushover.
Yep. All right.
Here we go. So we'll keep Lava Hound. We'll keep these up right as is. The one thing I really like about Princess against Lava Hound decks is besides you get a lot of shots on the Lava Hound, theoretically, they're pretty good against the pups. The big splashes can hit pups 2 at a time, but of course by the time the Lava Hound blows up, it's like, didn't your princess die to a poison by now or something? But it is a threat they have to deal with.
The defense.
We've seen that over and over again. So if you're struggling with Minor, if you've been playing the last tournament week and wondering like, oh my god, what do I do about all these Minor decks? You've seen some clinics today on how to defend. Place your collectors in the middle, be ready with your mini P.E.K.K.A, and you can guard your collectors and still be able to pump up all that extra elixir. I love these minions on Clyde's side. We said there wasn't a lot of anti-air stuff in Trainer Chris's deck. Those minions are going to be a very strong defense. Just because they're going to counter almost any push that Trainer Chris can put together.
This is one of the first games we've seen where players are just pumping up.
And again, another good defense by Clyde. I like that he played it right in the corner there.
And Clyde very smartly played optimal positioning. That, because he played it on the top right of the collector, each side that Trainer Chris would have played has a high chance to tag onto the mini P.E.K.K.A.
Clyde also just outguessed the mini P.E.K.K.A on the other side.
So Clyde is definitely ahead.
He was able to defend his collector and then attack the others, which is, of course, the combination you want to have, right?
Now Clyde can play a 3rd collector, and you can see a big...
wow. But that one's going down, but it's also a little late, like in the sense that that collector was mostly empty.
So this collector is free because the Minor, of course, was just committed to the left side. So Clyde has a collector for sure. If Trainer Chris loses this next collector fight, then Clyde will be a collector up.
Absolutely.
And that's great for him because he's playing a Lava Hound deck.
And that's a great timing, by the way, that he played the Lava Hound right when Trainer Chris played the Collector, because that means Trainer Chris didn't have the full elixir bar to rush the other lane and really punish him.
Ice Spirits against Inferno Tower? Nice. This setup is very difficult to Inferno Tower right now.
Oh, you're right. He doesn't even play it. He had it hovered, but he just couldn't do it. And it gets in on the tower. I like that he was also kind of psyched out the elixir collector there. The mini P.E.K.K.A went on the other side.
This is really strong. And remember, Clyde, I mean, he still has that Minor that he can play. Can he cycle to it?
And the mini P.E.K.K.A is going to stop that Inferno Tower from getting too chumped up.
Oh my god, this is really tough. Here comes the Minor.
Now here's the Princess that we talked about. The Princess survive. Oh, it does. It gets in there. Oh, good timing. God, unbelievable timing. Look at that. The hole it is locked on. Even though it gets chopped up pretty quick, look how much damage they're doing. And they don't die to zap either. The pups don't.
Oh my god. That, I feel like Clyde, from the start of this game, Clyde had a strategy, and I can't imagine anybody executing it more perfectly than that. That was picture perfect.
I love the addition of the Ice Spirit to that combo, because it allows you to kind of just if they play something even like other minions, your Ice Spirit freezing them right away and then letting your minions clean up almost just aces whatever they're doing. Trainer Chris is opting just for to let it go so we can move on to the next game. Wow.
That was just about the cleanest push I've ever seen.
Perfect. That Minor couldn't have showed up a half second later. You
And,
know,
we
you
talk
exactly what you need to.
with Lava Hounds. We talk a lot about Pompeo, and he had shown us some of the cleanest Lava Hound play. I think this takes the cake for probably the single best push that I've seen in the Super Magical Cup.
Without a doubt, Clyde and Pompeo are the two Lava Hound like standard bearers, right?
Yeah.
Like if Lava Hound had generals, it would be those two, as because they have very different lists and different styles, but both of them are the two most successful players with Lava Hound in tournaments. And Clyde has really impressed me from the first time we watched him. I remember the very first time we saw Clyde, and we'll get to the match preview here. From the first time that we saw Clyde, I remember being like, what are you doing with some of these plays? Like, I don't understand what you're doing. And then going back and watching the replays, Clyde sees the game, sees the full 3-4 minute development of the game, I think, better than most players. So he can do something that seems inefficient now, but what he's doing is he's shifting his cycle. He's trying to move around the sequencing of his cards in order to build up these pushes. And you saw, like, if he can put together that perfect Lava Hound push where you're like, oh my god, Trainer Chris couldn't even play Inferno Tower.
Yeah.
That lets you punch through those huge amounts of damage.
Yeah.
What do you think here, though? Do you think the Giant Poison's going to have the same effect?
Giant Poison. I mean, again, I will say this over and over today. The best card to use against Inferno Tower is Minions, and it gets extremely complicated when you don't, but Clyde is very good at playing the Barbarian Giant combination, kind of the Jason-esque Barbarian surrounding the Giant. Well, Jason did that he did that a few times, but Jason likes to combine Giant Hog Rider with Barbarian, right? And that's kind of what Clyde has to do. The only thing about that is it is damn expensive to do that.
Sure.
So we'll have to see. I think Clyde needs to play a little more precise. If Clyde defends his collectors like he did in the last game, he's going to find very much success against Trainer Chris, because Elixir is what his deck is all about.
Okay.
I mean, Clyde, this might be something that I would always say with Clyde, because he plays big bodies, right? And big bodies means Elixir. Elixir management, Elixir efficient defense, Elixir saving, and then also making sure that you have collectors.
Yeah, I definitely think that Clyde's going to have a harder time because besides not having minions, putting barbs up front is like not the worst idea, except that he's got Zap, Fireball, Princess, and Mini P.E.K.K.A. Like Zap plus Mini P.E.K.K.A. will wipe out those barbs, and then suddenly the Giant's exposed, right?
And
so,
Fireball just on its own, right? It's just Fireball plus Princess is an incredibly cost-effective method.
Especially if we see Clyde do something like play barbs to defend against minions, right? Like, or play against, Miner. When the Miner comes down, if you play barbs to defend against the Miner and they all get fireballed, you're going to be real sad.
Yeah.
Okay, Clyde, so here we go. We've got Clyde versus Trainer Chris, game 2. Yep. Clyde is up a game. Trainer Chris has to win in order to tie it up. Clyde has to win with his Giant deck because he's already won one game with his Lava Hound deck. And we saw some expert defense against the Miner. Let's see if we can keep that up. Clyde will have to play his Elixir Collector and see if he can defend it well enough to pump up.
So already, something that kind of hurts Clyde right now, he did not have the Elixir Collector earlier than Trainer Chris. He needs to cycle the skeletons. And look, just the fact that he wants to wait until 10 Elixir because it's a safer choice just further delays when he plays his Collector.
And here it comes.
And the other thing to note,
what timing.
The other thing to note is Clyde's other deck had the Miner. So actually, Trader Chris's Elixir Collectors can only be challenged by poison.
You're right. That's actually something I hadn't thought about until just now in the match, is that, like the Miner, even though you use it with the Lava Hound, it's perfect for those times when you're cycling between collectors because you can attack their collectors.
It's kind of a two-stage game plan when you're playing Lava Hound.
You don't even need to... get the skeletons down? Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Nice. I was like, he doesn't even really need to... Oh, God, that Zap. Oh, and then he got a Collector. He got a P.E.K.K.A. down on his own. And that P.E.K.K.A. is actually going to not only absorb a lot of charge, but do a little bit of damage to it.
And the Princess is tagged on, but I don't think that
didn't hit the tower.
Oh, actually, the poison is doing really, really well. And the Giant might make it to the tower. And there's no high damage units in Trainer Chris's deck. And so this Giant is going to get maybe 2 more swings out here.
Very smart by Clyde to play the poison up there. I was like, why wouldn't you poison the tower? Don't you always poison the tower? Yeah. But then looking at it, a poison, the entirety, all 10 seconds of poison does 1 punch of Giant damage. Yeah. So if you have to play it out of position in order to get your Giant to the tower, the Giant will make up that damage very quickly.
Yeah. If you had to make a sacrifice and you thought that there was an opportunity to get your Giant there, you want to get the Giant there.
And it's those little degrees that matter. Like, I've noticed from playing in tournaments, it's so, like, you have to be perfect. You have to know exactly how to get an extra 100, 200 damage out.
Split barbs. Interesting choice.
I like it because it helps. Well, that's actually weird. It's not going to be so great against the Inferno Tower.
Okay, we'll see. I mean, this okay, I'm
the
getting
barbs
concerned
up.
for Trainer Chris right now because this is
Wow,
a
the
donkey
second giant is.
combination.
Oh, look at that
Okay,
though.
There's no zap either, but the
But again, neither giant's particularly weak. But I think that giant's. Oh, it doesn't go to the other side. I was expecting it to maybe drag to the left.
Yeah, this is tough. Trainer Chris is gonna really need to pull out all the stops because now he also has to make sure he handles the princess.
Oh, 19
Oh
seconds
my
left.
God,
and I think
Clyde!
this shot is
Clyde!
gonna take one more shot.
Giant poison. Plus,
Does that finish it?
I mean,
It does.
he's gonna defend.
Oh, it doesn't. No, I mean 9 because he's got the zap. You're right. He's got the zap.
Yeah, he's got the zap.
Wow, Clyde 2
is
O's.
the best giant poison player.
Oh yeah,
That-
absolutely. I mean, he's yeah. Like actually, oh my god, wow! Clyde stomps through the field, takes
Wow.
a 2-0 win, a pretty decisive 2-0 win in the finals, I'd
That
say.
was very decisive.
I mean, both of those games, it seemed like he was just in the driver's seat the entire time. Congratulations, Clyde, taking it home. Wow. So what did you think about the meta today? Like overall, so let's take a look at some of the top decks. The top 4 players we saw.
A lot. I feel like just from our spectating experience, first of all, I think
Sure.
there was a lot more Furnace Miner poison. I think
Yeah.
that is kind of the de facto go-to. I don't want to play triple legendary, but I also want to play
Sure.
a very successful, consistent tournament deck. And I think that showed up a lot.
So slightly more, I think it was was Nick play the minor furnace deck as well? Now that we can actually show chat now that we're not worried about spoiling anything. I kind of want to go through and just take a look at these deck lists again. We can actually do it like this. But we had, so Trainer Chris had a, what is this? It's hard to say. It's like it's just a minor. It's not minor furnace, right?
Yeah,
And it's not triple legendary. I mean, honestly, you couldn't even call it the triple legendary with like the Musketeer because the Musketeer's not in there. So it's really just like a minor princess. You know, it's like a burn deck, a control deck,
Yeah,
minor control.
yeah, it's very vanilla.
Trainer Chris had, a
This is
similar
his-
deck. Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. Wait, that
That's
was
the same
That's
deck.
the same deck. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Nick was the one who had the Sparky deck,
Yeah, Sparky Goblin, the Zap Bait. Clyde had Lava Hound Miner.
and that's the same Chris deck. So we
Yeah.
saw the Lava Hound already. Gray
Triple
ran.
Legendary Pompeo.
Yeah, the Pompeo list. And what was Chris's other deck? Oh, he had the giant. He had giant poison as well.
Mm-hmm.
So actually, we had a pretty diverse field today. So we go to see what Gray's other deck was, the one that won game 1. 'Cause remember, Gray won game 1 and then couldn't play it again. Minor Furnace.
Minor Furnace.
So actually, maybe we're overreacting. We saw a lot of Minor Furnace in the group stages.
Yeah.
But from our standpoint, let's see. Let's look at the top. So the top 8 decks, we had 2 giant poison decks, 2 minor princess decks without furnace, a minor furnace deck, and then like a triple legendary Pompeo one, and then the Sparky Zap bait deck. It's weird because I'd kind of group the minor princess and the Pompeo deck together into sort of a similar like minor control.
Yeah.
And then a one minor furnace, which is much more of like they do feel different. They play different.
Yeah,
The
they do.
minor furnace is a lot more high pressure, high tempo.
Yeah.
It keeps you on your back foot. Whereas I feel like the other 3 minor control decks were more defensive and tried to get counterattacks.
I mean, it feels like Minor Furnace is almost much more similar to a Hog Cycle than
Yeah.
it is like a control.
And 2 giant poison decks along with the Sparky, and then of course the Lava Hound. So crazy that in our top 8 decks of the top 4 players, not a single Royal Giant, not a single Hog Rider.
Yeah. Hog Rider's out of there.
That's interesting. That 16% damage nerf might have been a little more than people expected. Sparky, first time Sparky's made money in the Super Magical Cup.
Yeah.
First placing Sparky deck, and I love that it's the Zap
great
Bait
deck.
Let's
It's a
pull that
great
deck back
deck.
up.
It's a great deck, and I think it's a deck that could have won the tournament if Trainer Nick had played his game a little differently.
Yeah, you're right. Because he lost 2-0 against Trainer Chris, so he had to have also win with the other one. But you're right.
the
Like
Lightning deck,
this was
yeah.
really the first time that we saw that the Sparky deck failed to pull a win out.
Yeah.
I love actually. You know what? I didn't see log being super useful, and I'm not sure what. Like I assume that the use cases for it are princess counter. You play it along with your mini P.E.K.K.A. and Fire Spirits as like another way to clear out any sort of defense. But it didn't seem like it did very well in terms of blocking the Sparky. I guess it can knock stuff back, right? So people play like barbs, you can push them all back and then it shoots it.
Yeah.
But I'd love to
Yeah.
hear more from Trainer Nick about what what log is supposed to be used for in that deck.
The other thing that I'm interested in is that Trainer Chris doesn't have too many chump units, right? He's not running goblins, he's not running skeletons, he's running guards, he's running barbarians, he's running musketeer, which are not necessarily that susceptible to the damage aspect of the log.
Right.
So that's kind of interesting.
Yeah, it's true. If that was more like goblins, spear goblins, skeletons, those sort of things, the log would have been a lot more effective. As is, I don't think it even broke. And maybe it broke the shield, but it certainly didn't do more than break the shields.
Yeah.
Cool. Any last thoughts, sign-offs before we want to take it home? How's everyone feeling, chat? You guys have a great time? Who should we? I want to see. What do you think is going to happen next week? What is your predictions for the meta change?
Next week, Woody is probably going to be back. This week he had stuff to do.
As long as there's no Royal Giants in the field, those Mortar and Expo decks should be very powerful.
Yeah.
I'm surprised that more people haven't picked up on the Mortar and Expo train because it's now been, I think, 2 to 3 weeks since we've seen Royal Giant decks in the top 4.
Yeah, it's interesting. I wonder. I mean, the question is, I almost haven't seen anybody else play a Mortar at all, and it could be something where it's just like we've not played with a Mortar for so long, we actually don't know what to do with it.
Yeah, I've been playing the Expo deck, Woody's Expo deck from last week, this whole week in the ladder, and it's been great. It's felt really strong, so I don't think that it was just a fluky thing or something that where just Woody played it and caught people off guard. I think it's a legitimate deck. So I'd like to see more people try to play Siege. I would be really interested in the next balance update, which should be coming soon, right? Because the last balance update was July 4th. It was with the patch, right? July 4th. So as we approach the beginning of August, I expect another balance update. I'd love to see Ice Wizard and Miner kind of taking a look at, maybe pulled back in power level a little bit. The Miner especially is going to get its own nerf. But I'd love to see spawner decks get better. That's something we've never really seen a lot of consistency of. We've seen the Miner Furnace deck, but I mean like Barb Hut, Goblin Hut. Like, what have happened to those cards?
Those cards are non-existent anymore.
So big shout out, by the way. We had a great top 8 this week. CMC Hugh, one of the most accomplished tournament players so far in Clash Royale's short tournament life from Elite Gaming. Trainer Nick and Trainer Chris, along with, of course, new faces Gray, Santi, and Godly Love. We expect to see you next week. We're really excited to see more top-level performances out of our top 8 players. And, of course, congratulations to the Prince of Poison, Clyde, for taking down his first ever Super Magical Cup bracketed event after winning the Invitational Championship.
Yeah, so he's a 2-time big event winner for the Super Magical Cup, joining Woody. Woody technically is a 3-time big winner if you could
count the 800 player qualifier
tournament,
right.
But these players are starting to build a notoriety for themselves.
Absolutely. What I love about it is it shows the difference